It's actually pretty loose internally as well.
Maybe Matt does.
Well, yeah, they're called Rythulians.
Yes.
And,
Maybe this is the opportunity for us to reveal the backstory.
No, I don't think we should have it.
Yeah.
So this
this was the world of Flower after the apocalypse. And,
some players would like to think so.
So this is
definitely
this has been one of my favorite levels. This is the one I'd go to, like when it was late at night, right before E3 or something, and we were working pretty hard. And I could just spend like an hour and a half just wandering the deserts.
Yeah, in the E3 or the post E3 public beta, it only really went through to this area, and people would talk about how they played the game for like 2 or 3 hours, which meant that they basically spent a lot of time in just this area.
This reminds me of our trip to the Pismo Beach, which at the beginning of the development, we actually went to find this giant dune beach next to the ocean. Oh wait, it looks like we're connected to someone.
I got a buddy.
Someone's...
Oh, there they
Oh,
are.
hello.
They have a much longer scarf.
Well, we haven't been collecting...
Yeah, we don't need to feel
symbols.
threatened.
So it looks like they
I
are
feel
also on the second round. They have the same
Pattern.
pattern. Yeah, it means the second time place of the game.
So these little cloth fish creatures, as we called them, they started off very scripted, but we thought that wasn't very fun or very replayable, and so Brian, one of our game designers, actually sort of rewrote them to be entirely AI driven, with some like scripting hints, but they are a lot more reactive and natural now than they were earlier on in development.
They kind of serve as a proxy for another player, but obviously they're sort of a more primitive life form. So since we don't have a human AI, it still works pretty well. They can follow you kind of like a dog.
Right, and they are kind of like the next sort of hint or step in the presence of life in this world. So there is definitely an evolution in terms of how we present that.
We also have a hint here. Notice all the creature that's made of claws are coming out of the stone serpent.
Yeah, that's the next kind of reveal in that whole narrative of the game.
I'm totally with you, John. Like, this was such a nice. We wanted it to have that kind of playful sandbox quality, and I feel like it really did kind of come together that way, because it's just so sort of pleasant and fun, and also met. It's just like looks so awesome.
One of the early kind of things we were trying to do with the game is we were kind of using a hiking metaphor for a variety of reasons, but we were just trying early on to make a game that you could enjoy where you didn't have some superpower or super speed, where you could just walk through like a normal person would when they go into nature for a hike. You could kind of go at about that speed and just enjoy the environment and live in a place. And so we had to work really hard on making that kind of environment that is just naturally enjoyable. And then we still have to make the player really fast.
Yeah, so this is the level which we realize we have to create mechanics like surfing, because if the entire dune is just walking, it feels very repetitive, and so I think at the time I was playing Tiny Wing, the iPhone game. I remember showing it to Nick, and John was saying, this game has a nice rhythm. There's up and downs, and if you climb a dune, you walk up, maybe when you come down, it felt differently, and so the surfing mechanics really kind of become the savior of the potential of walking through miles and miles of sand, without any change of pace.
I mean, it's not maybe exactly realistic, but I do think it captures the feeling.
Definitely, we didn't go for realism with any of our kind of references to reality, the sand, whatever. We went for the feeling, and the kind of mood that we want the player to experience. And I think that is kind of a unifying concept in that game company's design.
What is it's going for the reality in your head when you're experiencing it. Like, this was very much modeled from our experience at Pismo Dunes, but it doesn't really reflect. None of us could surf on sand the way these characters can. But
yeah, you watch the footage and it's like stumbling and falling over.
One thing to note in this level, in terms of just color and design, it's interesting is the green sky. We wanted this level to be kind of a noon atmosphere, bright, sunny, happy, but I really didn't want to have a blue sky because I tried to save that blue color for the very end of the game to make it kind of a special reward for the end of your journey. So in order to preserve that, I chose green instead.
And I think that works really well. I mean, it keeps the world feeling very mysterious, but at the same time, this does feel very open and refreshing, and it's like a blue sky.
Yeah, it's unique.
So, at some point, the game had a sandstorm where you actually have to seek for shelter in order to survive. But eventually, the sandstorm is more like become this particular area.
Yeah, that was a much better choice, because this is a built thing, you know. I feel like it speaks to the sort of subtext of the narrative and things. Then
an opportunity to talk about a little bit about the architecture of the game and how it was designed. It was also designed based on constraints from gameplay, kind of like the choice to make sky green. One funny thing is there's a lot of archways and things in the journey. Originally I wanted them to be round arches, but due to our constraints with collision detection, we needed to have arches that did not have surfaces like that, so we chose to make them these kind of stair-step arches because they work better with our tech, and that kind of influenced the entire design of the architecture.
I love when that kind of thing happens, though, where you end up at something that you actually can't imagine it any other way, but it was arrived at through dealing with constraints.
Could you imagine it any other way, Matt? I often felt pretty guilty about that, but it's amazing what Matt did, and Matt and Jackie, the art team, with the limitations.
Yeah, to me it looks like Journey. Like it's really, I mean, you know, I'm biased because, well, I'm just biased for a whole lot of reasons, but I really can't imagine it done differently.
This definitely has influences from lots of different ancient architecture, Greek architecture, Islamic architecture.
And you talked in one of the things about the Native American.
Also, yes, Native American rug design was
Yeah.
a big influence on the architecture. It's interesting. So these sequences, the ancestor shows you, were all done in one weekend. That was a late night.
One late night, extended for 58 hours.
It was definitely right up on the deadline. But I think it worked out really well.
That was, we generally don't crunch very much at that game company, but Matt, you know, knew it had to happen right at the end, and yeah, amazingly pulled through. Yeah, pretty much the entire set of cinematics for the game.
Yeah, they to me totally work, because that was one of those that I was really sort of struggling with musically, because I was having a hard time pinning down if they felt like they were final or not. And then at one point, just like out of nowhere, suddenly there was all these things in there that were really great. It was like from one moment to the next.
Oh,
your friend.
is he
maybe,
wanting to unlock the meditation trophy with you?
Join him. Sometimes it's good to take a moment.
he
Oh
disconnected.
my goodness.
You just meditated super hard.
Well, sometimes on our life's journey, people we know will go away.
And that
Is that cancer?
Oh.
Yes, that was the cancer feature that was added to the game.
his fish is still there. How sad.
Well, now we're gonna test Nick's networking code.
Yeah, so networking.
Rock solid.
This cutscene was quite a pain. I think there is a bug here, but
Don't reveal.
Don't tell
it'll
them.
be fixed in the patch.
I swear.